Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And in this episode, we are going to be discussing what I think are some of the best GA aircraft from Microsoft Flight Simulator that you should have in your hangar. So stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come along down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below, and thank you to all of my current subscribers. All right, you guys, as we get started, there will be links to all of these aircraft down in the description below if you guys are interested. These are all payware aircraft, as I feel they are the most advanced general aviation aircraft currently available from Microsoft Flight Simulator. If I missed any, please, by all means, drop them in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from them. These are all my personal experiences with these aircraft, and that is why I have chosen them, because I own each and every one of them. So let's go ahead and get started. These aren't in any particular order of value, guys. It's going to be dependent on what you're looking for in one of these aircraft. So starting out with, obviously, in my opinion, the best of the best is the A2A Simulations Comanche. The Comanche is an extremely, highly, unbelievably detailed rendition of this particular aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator with a full walk-around checklist, checking your fuel tanks, checking oil, manually removing your tie-downs, loading cargo, and things of that nature that make it the pre-flight a ton of fun. The overall authenticity of the aircraft performance and flight model is absolutely off the charts. This is an aircraft and a simulation that absolutely, if you do not follow protocol and pay attention to the wear and tear and maintenance and overall performance and behavior of your piloting, you will break the aircraft. That brings us to the next point, is the damage model. It actually has one. Crash landings and things like that are a thing in the real world of air simulation, of flight simulation in the real world. And with that particular event, unfortunate as it may be, you obviously want to expect to experience what you would actually see in the real thing. Things such as bent props, bent wings, damaged windows of that nature, and broken propellers altogether. Landing gear failures, hydraulic failures, all kinds of different failures that can happen at random at any particular event, but also offers you the customization of setting when those events do occur. State saving is obviously a big thing nowadays in flight simulation. The aircraft will remain in whatever condition it was when you left it previously. And that state saving is based on the livery and not just on the aircraft itself. So if you want to simulate that you own more than one Comanche with two different liveries, and one of them just happens to be that one that you buried in the corner and let dust and everything creep all over it and just didn't take very good care of it, well, that's how it's going to be the next time you get into it. However, if you have the other one where you are keeping it up to its supreme condition, again, each time that you get in the aircraft, that's how it will be. Along with any switches, flight handles, flight controls, doors, windows, etc., they will be exactly how you left them from the previous flight. The A2A Comanche does come at a pretty steep price tag of right around $50 US, but I can tell you right now without a doubt in my mind that it is worth every single cent of it. If you guys are interested, we will be flying the Comanche later on this evening, so be on the lookout for another video of that as well. It is an absolutely astounding rendition of this aircraft. Coming back around to the formerly known Milviz, now Blackbird Simulations, the 310. The 310 is another incredible rendition of this aircraft. Absolutely fantastically detailed. The flight model and overall performance of the aircraft has been tested by real-world pilots that it is right on par and certainly meets the expectation of payware general aviation. Again, this is another aircraft that has a steeper price point than some of the others that we have seen in the past, but it meets every cent of it. One of the things that I really enjoy about it is it's probably the most authentic twin-engine general aviation aircraft that we have available also sporting the GTN 750, which is definitely a plus. As you guys know, the GTN 750 was a very desired avionics screen when we first launched Microsoft Flight Simulator, and very quickly gained popularity, and this one has it in there by default. Now, you also do have the ability to remove the different avionics suites and customize it as you'd like. If you're someone who wants to go full steam gauge and full analog, you have that ability while enjoying an incredibly powerful and very, very fun and very accurate twin-engine aircraft, just like with the Comanche, sporting full failures and behavioral issues if you do not treat it well and pay attention to what you are doing. This is, again, another aircraft that is designed for the true simulator who wants that as close to real-world authenticity to the aircraft as you can get today in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, this is the Blackbird Simulations 310. Next up here, we have the PA28 series of aircraft from Just Flight. Now, we have three different variants. We have the PA28 Warrior 2, the Aero 3, and the Turbo Aero 4, I believe. Just Flight is another one who nailed it. They absolutely nailed it with these particular branch of aircraft. They have all of the right graphics in the right spots. The texturing is just on par. The flight models are great. The variations are great. Now, the drag about it is that you have to buy each aircraft individually. But I will tell you again, I think the only one that unfortunately I do not have is the Warrior 2. But I do have the Aero 3 and the Turbo Aero 4. And they are an absolute blast of an aircraft to fly. I would say the thing that separates the Aeros from the Comanche, in my personal opinion, is simply that the Comanche comes with a far better feature system. And I do believe a higher fidelity or more accurate flight model due to the use of AccuSim. Take that out of the equation, and Just Flight has done an absolutely amazing job with the PA28 series of aircraft. I love flying them, and was flying them religiously in things like NeoFly and just my general aviation tours around various cities around the world, much like you're seeing here on display. And they're just a great aircraft to fly. Again, offering that full immersion from the exterior, being able to open doors, windows, load your cargo, things of that nature, also with a pre-flight check. They also did the ability where, much like with the Comanche and the AccuSim, the ability to actually do a full walk around the aircraft, not quite as detailed, but certainly worth mentioning and definitely worth its price point. I think that's one of the things that definitely sets the Just Flight away from everybody else, is the price points of their aircraft are usually right where they belong. And I think with their PA28 series of aircraft, they stayed as true to their name. Very fair, very accurate, and very good quality. Keeping up with the rest of the pack in today's video, we have the FlySimware 414A Whiskey Chancellor. The Chancellor is another very, very detailed, very, very awesome twin-engine aircraft, much larger than some of the other general aviation aircraft that we mentioned previously. But the thing that I will say stands out the most about the FlySimware aircraft is the rate at which they update. This aircraft received so many updates and so rapidly. The developers were very clearly dedicated into providing a very authentic and very high-quality aircraft for our flight simulation experience. Again, another twin-engine aircraft that offers the higher altitude and higher performance of a pressurized cockpit, while keeping that general aviation feel to it. This is one of those aircraft that I always remember thinking that I would see in like some Colombian drug lord movie, unfortunately, but it definitely meets the eye's appeal, and especially the overall performance in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It was very, very, very fun to fly. I think one of my biggest things about the Chancellor that really stood out to me the most was the difficulty in the learning curve, and not because of lack of documentation or like that, but because of the complexity in which that the aircraft has. It was a very, very complex and very, very well-written aircraft. Again, very, very different flight dynamics from anything else that I've ever flown in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it did not give me the behavior that I was expecting to see based on previous twin-engine aircraft, such, for example, as the Baron G58, the default in Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's just absolutely no comparison to the way that it was behaving. You let that asymmetric thrust get out of the way, or asymmetric prop, I should say, get out of the way, and the aircraft's going to behave very, very awkwardly. Just as a quick example, example. Turbulence, overall environmental impacts on the aircraft were quite extreme, as they should be in the conditions that I flew it in. And it just gave me a whole different level of challenge in flying the aircraft. And it's definitely not one of those aircraft that you can just jump in and fly and have a good time with. You have to learn it. Last up on my list here comes from Black Square steam gauge overhaul of the G36 and A36 aircraft. Now, so it basically turns into the A36, which is the analog. The G36 Bonanza is an absolutely amazing aircraft with a ton of power. It's got all the sport and all the right things in the right places. But again, one of my biggest gripes in regard to the G36 for Microsoft Flight Simulator was it was another glass cockpit. Now, Black Square went far beyond just adding analog gauges. They made a fully functional electrical system, hydraulic system, as well as circuit breaker system for the aircraft, all fully functional with failures. It completely changed the way that the aircraft behaves and acts, and as far as its overall controls. The other thing they did was added some adjustments to the overall flight model of the aircraft. Now, this particular aircraft that we're staring at here is not the A36, but it was also the Baron G58 that they also did a analog changeover for. The steam gauge overhaul from Black Square, it really doesn't matter which aircraft you guys choose. It's absolutely a fantastic round to go. And I kind of forgot about the analog Baron G58, which also made a very, very significant difference in the behavior of the aircraft and the overall flight experience of these planes. Turned them into, quite frankly, what I feel they should have been at the launch of the simulator, but that's a debate for another day. And again, you guys can see you do have the ability to toggle between the GNS 530 as well as the Baron, the GTN 750, and I think that was the 430 that we saw there for just a brief minute. Very, very easy way to change out your avionics suite, and then everything else on the aircraft is labeled out right in front of you, laid out very, very nicely with a very, very authentic behavior to the aircraft. Again, a truly awesome flight experience from Black Square that really made these aircraft what they should have been, and I'm not going to stop saying it, from the start of the simulation. This was another one that I was honestly very hesitant to purchase because at first I thought, wow, this is just okay. I don't know if I want to spend this money just to move over to steam gauges as much as I truly enjoy steam gauge flight. Bit the bullet, did it on the G36, and I will never look back. Anytime that Black Square launches one of these steam gauge overhauls, I'll be jumping all over it because they go far, far beyond just adding some analog steam gauges. And I highly recommend you guys pick these up if you enjoy any of these aircraft. The Baron 36 is one of my favorite General Aviation aircraft. And these guys made it a heck of a lot more fun and far more accurate than what we had before. Well, as always, I hope you guys found this particular video useful and gave you some ideas maybe of some new aircraft or new enhancements to purchase for your aircraft, as they definitely have changed the game for General Aviation, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's really nice to see the General Aviation experience starting to be further enhanced in the simulator. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and we waited quite a while for a lot of this stuff to reach the sim, and it's finally starting to come around, and boy, am I ever grateful. I can't stress it enough, guys. I think if I were to put a number one on top of everybody else, it is the A2A Comanche. That is just personal opinion, but I do not in any way want to say in any way, shape, or form that the others aren't absolutely fantastic aircraft. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it useful. Stay safe and healthy. Stay tuned. We have a lot of videos that are going to be coming out in rapid succession. We have some new product reviews. We have some cool stuff to show from Beyond ATC again, as well as much, much more. So stick around, guys, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.